This is how to play real games like creative, and it's not as simple as it sounds. Yes, you could flip the mentality switch in your brain to just start crazy free building, but what if you die? Then what? And shout out to Nasi C3S and Monks FN for the video request, because dying when trying to play like you do in creative is one of the most common outcomes. But why is that? Why is it when you flow in creative and dunk on people, the second you take that into a real game, it stops working? Well, some of it's obviously mentality and perception, but some of it is actually the game behaving differently. So the main difference in-game is the ping change. What should you do to get used to it? It's no secret that practice makes perfect, but what happens if you're practicing on lower ping than you get in-game? Well, you'll probably click your buttons too fast and scuff your edits. You build muscle memory on, say, 20 to 30 ping in creative, then you hop in game and you're on 40 to 50. Well, that extra 10 to 20 milliseconds will mess you up since it's different than what you practice and what your muscles remembered. However, there are a couple ways around this. I think there's 3. The first is obviously just don't play creative to practice, but that's not a very good option, so let's just move on from that. However, it would solve the problem of the ping difference since you'd just be practicing in pubs or ranked on your native in-game ping. The second option, which is a little better and which I used to use a lot, is switching the servers to the next nearest one during your creative warm-ups. This will usually artificially kick up your ping by 10 to 50 ping depending on which servers you're selecting, and for me it worked really well in NA since there are 3 servers, NA East, NA West, and Central. So by doing this, you're not going to shoot up your ping by more than a manageable amount. So if you're able to practice on a ping roughly equivalent to what your in-game ping is, then you should be building the correct muscle memory. Or if by switching your servers you get a little higher than what you typically get in-game, then that's also kind of a win because once you're in-game, you can go faster than what you're used to. And for me, it's way easier to go faster than to trick yourself to go slower and wait for the ping. Oh, and invest in the channel if this helps you out by the end. But the next way you can level out your creative ping and in-game ping is to use a third-party software. I know, I just got exit lag and I thought it was a scam at first, but it actually does work really well. What you want to do is turn off exit lag or whatever program you're using while practicing in creative, so you're on the average creative ping, which is typically lower than in-game. However, once you hop into a real game, you then turn on exit lag, which will lower your ping by about 10 to 20 milliseconds, which will be roughly the same as your unaltered creative ping, or maybe even better. And I just want to say I'm not sponsored by them, but I do have a referral link. So if you've been thinking about trying exit lag out, then use the link below. Please. But again, not sponsored yet. So that's just the first part though, which is the actual in-game mechanics messing you up, but what about your mentality needs to change to be able to flow like you do in creative? Well, that leads me to part 2. One of the biggest things to help you out mentally is realizing that you're actually probably not dying more in real games, like at all. You're probably dying way more in creative, but you feel it more in games because of the loading and farming times. Like in creative, you're probably dying 10 times more in, 1v1s, but since you're hopping back into it immediately, you don't feel it as much. So I said it earlier, but practice makes perfect. And something my coaches would always tell me when I was a kid is practice how you play. But a lot of you are practicing how you don't play and are looking up a video to figure out how to play like you practice. And the practice is already somewhat unreasonably aggressive. So a lot of you have it backwards. So stop trying to figure out how to play in real games like you do in creative, but rather play creative like you do in real games to balance it out. I say this because you shouldn't be splitting evenly in creative with the person you're versing. You should be playing safe to secure the kill every single time and be up like 9-1. People in build fights always get pissed at me for occasionally boxing up or popping minis, which is against the unspoken rules of 1v1. But really, why? I'm playing like I do in real games, so when someone pushes me in-game or in a tournament, I'm used to taking box fight peaks. I'm used to the time it takes to pop a mini, or if I should cancel it and go for counter damage. I'm used to when I can exit my box and resume a build fight, so it's just more real. That means by game time, I'm not thinking about how differently I'm playing or how slow I feel, I'm just playing like normal. And then as you start to realign these two, then you can start to get a little more flowy. You can start to full build fight and free build in real games too, once your gameplay is already aligned together. So how do you practice getting, a little more flowy in a realistic way with those build fights? The best option to do this is by practicing on a creative map with limited builds. And there are plenty of good maps for this that I'll shout out, like the speed 1v1s, etc. However, if you do want to preserve the classic 1v1 start, but still have the option for limited builds or unlimited builds, then that's what my 1v1 map has. I'm not even trying to self-promo, this is genuinely like a good advice tip I'm trying to give. And you can even use the other maps I mentioned too that have more players, but if you and your boy want to hop on and have the option to switch between 555 builds, 531, or just unlimited, then check my map out. And I'll also be adding in a choice to turn on fall damage too in the next update for an even more realistic option. And if you want to try it out but there's nobody on, then join my stream on Saturday, and that's when I 1v1 you guys on this map on stream and when everyone else is playing it too. But of course, theory will only get you so far. So what happens once we're done with creative? Instead of hopping straight into ranked, practice your new moves and free builds in pubs first. I know people hate pubs because they want competition and not bots or bot-like players, but if you're learning a new move, like boxing someone, or a high ground retake, or combining multiple edits in a row, then pubs is the best place to learn. You can absolutely box a bot without much of a fight back, then you get all of their loot and mats without needing to spend a lot of time farming, then you move on to the next player, maybe this one's real but they're still bad, so you can practice taking their walls or a high ground retake, and you're not getting sent back to the lobby. So now you have more practice actually on the field than sitting on the bench in the lobby. And of course, by the end circle, if you're still alive, you're likely facing the best person in the lobby, and you can get some actual real good fighting practice at the end after keeping your mechanics warm for the entire match on those worser players. Because most people in ranked or tournaments, they let their mechanics cool down by not taking as many fights, so pubs is a good way to get out of that mindset. Of course though, once you are comfortable learning whatever new move you've been working on, now it's time to try ranked. This will be your best test if your moves actually work. And here you may realize that you're spending too many mats, or that you're getting shot at a field point you didn't realize existed. So for example, you may need to cut out a few walls on a retake here or there so you can save some mats. And maybe you just need to head back into creative again to workshop these things on the drawing board. And of course, you can now fix up your moves until it starts working. It's not going to be an overnight success, you have to work at these things. So the progression, like I said, is to start in creative, practicing like you play, not vice versa. I mean, obviously you can be experimental here to learn new stuff, but you know what I mean. Then hop into pubs to practice against low-skilled players and bots, and finally upgrade to ranked and tournaments as your final test, and be patient. Not trying to bullshit you guys with a quick fix, so if you can respect that, then please invest into the channel for more. And if you want some more ideas on what you need to work on, then try working on safe peaks first. This video shows you the best and most unique peaks to stay safe in fights, and if you're on your tournament grind trying to get earnings, then take a look at this video where I break down Fortnite's GOAT's first earnings. Peterbot's first $1,000. Thank you so much for watching. Use code reidtheninja or another small creator's code, and on that note, I'm signing off.